Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. So, Britain has a new world champion in Lawrence Okolie, beating Glowacki in the 6th round by getting a stunning knockout victory. Now, this was a great performance from Lawrence Okolie, and he wasn't in there with any slouch. He was in there with a world level operator and proven at this level, yet he outboxed him, he bullied him, he beat him up and got the stoppage in that 6th round. Now, what I was impressed with about Okolie the most was his demeanour and his approach to the fight. He was loose and he wasn't burning any kind of nervous energy. He wasn't putting it too much in when he didn't have to, and he was stepping on the gas when Glowacki didn't want to work. So he would go after Glowacki, but then get back behind his jab once again. So he's shown it that kind of maturity, where maybe when he got Glowacki hurt in that 4th round, I believe, he could have gone after him and thrown more at him. But he didn't. He got back behind his jab because he knew that that was working, and he knew that that stoppage was going to be coming because Okolie was in control for the whole fight. Glowacki rarely had a moment in this contest, and that was because of Okolie and that jab. And it wasn't like he was just going headhunting as well. He was working down to the body, working on the inside as well, which Okolie hasn't really shown he can do during his career. Often he ties up on the inside and makes it a bit awkward, but he was working out on the inside, and those are things he has been learning with Shane McGuigan. This performance reminded me a lot of when George Groves fought Chris Eubank Jr. Not necessarily exactly the same because they were different kind of fighters, but the performance was similar in the fact that he was working behind his jab, landing that hard right hand when he needed to as well, working down to the body, turning his opponent, being loose, being limber, and making sure that he knew what was going to be coming back from Glowacki. And the simple fact of the matter was Glowacki just couldn't get beyond Okolie's jab. It was there all the time. It was a spearing jab, and Okolie wasn't necessarily moving his head all that much, but he didn't need to because he was coming off of that jab. Everything came off of that. He started with it and he finished with it. And what that does is it creates the distance. So Glowacki doesn't have the reach advantage that Okolie has, so he has to get closer. That was why they were so close. And Southpaw versus Orthodox, you get their feet tangle from time to time. And that did happen in this contest. I mean, Okolie was sometimes stepping on his feet and vice versa. That happens when you get a Southpaw in there with an Orthodox. Glowacki needed to fight at a certain distance in order to get his punches off, and Okolie did not allow that to happen. They were fighting at quite a good distance for Okolie, and Glowacki just wasn't in range to land a jab, to land any of his combos or anything that he threw at Lawrence Okolie. He did get a few shots off, but that was thwarted by Okolie quite quickly. He was able to tie him up or get him back behind that jab, step around it to the right, because that is what Okolie was doing. He wasn't just necessarily moving in one direction, but what Okolie was doing was primarily moving to the right, and that is difficult for a Southpaw to navigate because a Southpaw then, when they follow them or if they try to cut off the ring, they will surrender their positioning by taking a shortcut across the ring, because that is what they must do if they want to continue closing their opponent down. That was what Okolie was tempting Glowacki to do, to step across and to take that shortcut, which would surrender his positioning, meaning that if Okolie lands a heavy shot, then it's going to cause a more devastating effect because Glowacki is not in a position to take that punch. Essentially what it means is if Okolie moves it to the left, then Glowacki can almost move back and still cut off the ring, whereas if Okolie moves right, then Glowacki has to move forwards if he wants to cut off the ring, which is what he was needing to do because he was applying that kind of pressure. As we said earlier, he needs to get closer to Okolie. If he allows Okolie to just escape, then there is no way he's going to land his punches and he's just going to be picked off for the full 12 rounds. So that tempted him to make that adjustment, that tempted him to move forwards to keep cutting off the ring against Okolie. And that is how also Okolie got the stoppage, because he was moving around to his right, got the jab and then landed that right hand, which completely laid out Glowacki. So this was a complete performance from Lawrence Okolie, down to the footwork, the positioning, trading and fighting on the inside when he needed to, tying his man up also when he needed to. He was doing everything right, and it wasn't like it was a boring performance. It was an exciting fight, and Okolie dominated him. He opened up that cut. The jab was brilliant, working down to the body as well. His movement, as I said, with moving to the right, whereas if he had moved it to the left, he would be coming around behind Glowacki into the space. So therefore Glowacki would be able to reverse and come around meaning he would not have to surrender his positioning because he would be moving in a natural direction for a southpaw. Whereas if Okolie is moving to his right, then he is forcing Glowacki to follow him in that direction, to surrender his positioning by stepping across and coming forwards, which is not so easy for Glowacki to do, to shift his feet to move in the direction if Okolie was moving to his left. Such an inspirational story from Okolie, from working in McDonald's, looking up at the screen, seeing his heroes like Anthony Joshua and Usain Bolt, then deciding that he's going to give his dream a go, and now he's Cruiserweight World Champion, potentially moving on to a fight with Marius Bradis. That's who he wants. Great attitude as well, to want to go straight and unify, to go straight into another big fight. That is the kind of attitude that he should have, and that is the one that he is displaying. So brilliant from Okolie, and an inspirational story to anyone who does want to do something like that, who does want to become a world champion, or something else in sports, or anything else entirely. Just give it a go. And look what Okolie has been able to do just by taking that decision. And he has gone from that kid with the dream to the one inspiring others to take that chance. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks guys.